actually curious to hear from Arthur from Canada. It says that you're going back to Nigeria to visit family for the first time since coming out, and they have a plan to save your soul. Do you want to talk about that?
Oh, yeah. How you guys doing?
Hi, I'm sorry. This is Jenna, and you're on with Phil.
I said, how you guys doing?
We're fantastic.
Pretty good.
Deaf, perhaps, but we're great.
It's actually amazing that I'm the first caller, but thank you.
You bet.
So I came to Canada about 5 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like so religious back then. You couldn't have an argument with me about Jesus Christ.
I was like that too.
Yeah. So I came to Canada, and basically my eyes opened just because Canada is basically, in Nigeria it's just like half Christian, half Muslims, and any other person is a demon.
Ah.
But
Wow.
and then, but came to Canada, and there's all these other cultures, and there's Indians, and people that don't just believe in anything. And I was like, wow. And they're such good people. And I'm like, all these guys are going to hell. Anybody that doesn't believe in Jesus is going to hell. So it doesn't make sense. I started questioning everything. And then, here I am today.
Congratulations. How long ago was this?
This was, I've been atheist for about 2 years.
Okay.
But, I came to Canada for 5 years, like I said. So anyway, so now I'm going back to Nigeria, and I came out to my parents because I went through this phase where I was just mad at everything because I felt like most of my life was taken away.
Yes, I felt this exact same way.
Yeah, so I was just pissed. So anytime anybody wanted to have a conversation about it, I would literally be in that conversation and just argue. And thanks to your show, I learned a lot. So I just use all the arguments I learned from the show and also from my personal research and all that, and I will have it. But at this point, I'm just tired of it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But now I'm going back home where my dad, who recently disowned me because of it, he came back and he's like, we're going to have a conversation.
Uh-oh.
And I hear on the show where, you guys usually say, you don't have to have the conversation. You can change the topic and whatnot.
Right.
But it's a different vibe. It's a different vibe in Nigeria where you cannot say no to certain things. It's just, I know it's kind of hard for me to explain.
I understand.
Are you going back to visit for a couple of days?
I'm just going back to visit.
Well, how long are you visiting Nigeria?
I'm staying for about 2 weeks.
Okay.
2 weeks.
Well, one possible strategy that no one probably else would tell you, because I'm just weird like that, is it's a goddamn miracle. You're born again. Just short circuit the whole damn thing. Go back, praise Jesus, whatever you got to do, and then 2 weeks come back to Canada.
Oh yeah, that
solves it.
Wow, I didn't think that solves it. But that would involve going to church and all this morning devotion shit.
Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, you're making the effort to call, and you're worried about not even going on the trip because you already know how bad it's going to be. I mean, you know your family better than I ever will. And
they have a pastor set up for me. They said they're going to call the pastor to the house.
Yeah.
And he's going to
You can just fix all that right before you go. Just put on Facebook that you're born again. Make sure they see it, and go to service and go talk to the pastor. Matter of fact, if you want to have real fun, turn on the recording app on your phone and record the conversations and bring it back with you. We'll put them on the show maybe.
Oh, okay. There you go. Yeah, I mean, that definitely solves the.
Jen might have a different strategy.
Okay, so to each his own. If you want to do that,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna stop you. But
let me hear your view, though.
If you want to know what I would do, I know I couldn't personally do that because I'm just the kind of person that I can't misrepresent myself. Like I switched from being pro-life to pro-choice pretty quickly, and it took me a couple days where I was like, I have to come out about this because everybody knows that I'm pro-life, and I feel like I'm living under this false pretense if I don't tell everyone. And so I couldn't do that. But in addition, in the situation that I'm in right now with my family, if we're getting together for Christmas, or actually my family's getting together for a tea party soon, it's like...
You say a tea party?
Yeah, actually, the women in my family have an annual tea party, and it's actually really cool. But when we have these family gatherings, if they were to tell me, I mean, they haven't told me that they're going to try to change me or bring a minister in to try to deconvert me or anything, and I still have trouble going back there simply because I have trouble having conversations with them at all. Because of this toxic household that I grew up in, and I'm not saying that it's toxic because of the people, but because of the system, because of this dynamic about how there's this authority figure and everybody else has to do there's only one way to do things. So I already have trouble going and seeing my family without some kind of exorcism threatening me. Do you realize that if they do some kind of exorcism, things can go very wrong, and they have gone wrong for people in the past?
Mm-hmm. So what do you think what are they gonna do to you? They're just gonna have a sit down talk?
Basically, it's not as far as an exorcism because
Do you know that though?
No, because I know I call it cult that I came from. It's basically Christianity, but it's still a cult. But like they're probably gonna sit me down and just say a bunch of things like Jesus loves you and you need to come back to Jesus. What about all these things that Jesus did for you? He made you go to Canada. He made you have the job you have. Blah blah blah. And
he's been good to you, man. He sent you to Canada.
Yeah.
Well, one of the arguments.
The only thing is that the trip is so short, and I can't say no because they won't let me. I'm basically gonna be living with them, so I'm gonna have to have these conversations where it's always gonna end up with us fighting, and with just 2 weeks. You know what I mean?
That's the thing. Do you actually have to go? Can they physically force you onto that plane?
I want to go to Nigeria for other reasons, not religion, because obviously I haven't seen my family in 5 years. But
so it would be worth it to you? Would it be worth it to you if, let's say this goes as horribly as you can imagine, because I don't know your family. I don't know how bad it can possibly get. So imagine the worst case scenario. Is it worth it to you to go? And I would just go with that.
Yeah, well, it's worth it to go because, family, friends, and I kind of miss the country and all that. But, I can definitely understand where you guys are coming from, where it's probably not worth it, but, I guess I have to just deal with it, you know what I mean?
Yeah, because if it's just going to be uncomfortable, put up with it, try to be as nice as you can, try to change the subject, and live through it. As long as you're convinced that there's really no physical harm or mental harm that's going to come of it.
Oh, no, definitely not.
Okay, then,
I'll just run away.
There you go.
Right. And as long as you're safe, then I would say that whatever you feel like you need to do is what you need to do. If you feel like you need to go. If you feel like, there's something holding you back, I'd say go with that, You know your family better than I do.
Yeah. Well, thanks. But since is it okay if I ask one last question? It won't take time.
Sure thing.
Okay. So like I said, when I deconverted and all and everything, I realized something about myself. Not just the religious aspect, just from everything. I kind of question everything. You know what I mean?
Right.
So something happened. Like my dad. He basically asked me, it was like, the way he knew that I was atheist was, he asked me on a family group chat, he was like, what do you think about Jesus? What do you think about God? And I basically, because I was so angry that time, I was like, I don't give a shit about Jesus. And I have no reason to believe that a God exists,
Right.
And then she instantly said, consider yourself disowned. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But then, back in the day when I heard the word disowned, it was this big thing.
Yeah.
But then, when he said it this time, I was like, okay, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I realized that I kind of don't give a shit about a lot of things now.
Yeah.
And I'm worried that, I mean, it feels great. Like, I feel free, if that's the right word. I feel free from, like, even thinking about things like hell and all this kind of things. But even things like disowning, that was so big to me. Oh, my dad disowned me.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean shit to me anymore.
Have you actually been disowned if they're paying for you to come back home?
Oh, he came back. He came back.
He came back around. Okay, well, that's good. That's really good. I actually had a similar situation where I had moved in with a boyfriend right after high school, and he was a Catholic boy, but we moved in together, and I was disowned as well. And for me, it was like a big deal. And then I was like, you know what? Whatever. I'm going to do whatever I want to do. I was taken back. And then later on, something else happened in the family. And my dad was like, oh, if you tell anybody about this, I'll disown you. And then at that point, I was like, you know what? Whatever.
Been there, done that.
Yeah. So.
But the question is like this feeling of not really caring about a lot of things.
Yeah.
And that's the disown thing. And also the stuff like cutting off people. It's been so easy for me to just cut off people,
Good.
Like, okay, we're having this conversation, and you talk about God, and you don't respect my views. I'm like, it's so easy for me right now to just be.
Yeah.
Well, one question.
I want to know if that's a thing that can turn around and bite me in the ass.
Well,
or
maybe.
Yeah.
It depends. Sometimes I'm a believer that there are some times where it's necessary to burn bridges. And the one time, just to pull out an example, out of nowhere, when I was waiting tables, I kept bouncing between restaurant and restaurant and restaurant, and I kept going back to this restaurant and back to that restaurant. And after a certain point, I realized I really don't need to be working in restaurants anymore. So I need to allow myself to stop creating all these. It's so easy to go back into it, So it's kind of up to you when you need to burn bridges.
One thing, maybe, does your family think that God is all-powerful and can do anything?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Then you should inform them that you will genuinely seek out God and let him do his job, and they can't possibly do a better job, and they might actually be trying to thwart God's will, and that it's up to him, and they should let go and let God do his thing, and God will... God will fix you if he wants to.
They'll probably come back with an argument like, well, we need to do our own part.
Yeah, they might.
Well, I mean, actually, that kind of reminds me that you can do street epistemology on them. Have you looked up street epistemology yet through Anthony Magnabosco's channel on YouTube? Have you heard of that?
No, I haven't.
It's basically a way of questioning to where you're not telling anybody anything. You're asking questions. Okay. And it's a way of kind of exposing to the person that's doing the talking that they don't actually know what they're talking about at times.
Yep.
Sometimes they do know what they're talking about. But this kind of questioning will basically expose if they have an idea of how they verify things that are true or not. Okay, so maybe look that up and
do that.
Yeah, and maybe have fun with that.
And if you can make it back to Canada, I'd love to hear what happened.
Absolutely. Let us know how it goes, and I hope you make it back
I'll
safe.
Let you know.
Thanks.
All right, thanks so much.
Thank you for calling, Arthur. What a nice guy.
You know what's weird about this room? I look over here, and I see this guy with this ginormous, oversized head, and I realize it's the window reflecting me back. It's kind of embarrassing. Oh, wait, was my mic on? God.
All right. Let's go.